Here's what really happened in the last house price crash and how we can use that data to predict what's coming next. In 2008, the GFC struck and we had a house price crash. From their 2007 peak of 190,000, average prices across the UK then nosedived to £154,450 in March of 2009, just 18 months later. Now that's a decline of 18.7% or just over 35k. This wiped out a significant amount of equity in people's homes and left a large number of homeowners in negative equity. With the recession and job losses that followed, tens of thousands of people then couldn't afford to keep up the mortgage payments and homes were repossessed. But the economy recovered, people found work, and house prices just continued to go up, right? Well, no, not exactly. You see, whilst they did increase in nominal terms, in real terms they actually continued to go down long after they'd troughed nominally. In fact, in real terms, house prices didn't bottom until the first quarter of 2013, a full 5.5 years after their 2007 peak, and a full 4 years after they bottomed nominally. So you see, the 2008 house price crash was actually much deeper and much longer lasting than most people realise. Are real house prices? How are they calculated and why are they such an important measure? Put simply, real house prices is just the price but minus inflation. So if house prices increased 10% in 1 year but inflation was 5% in that same year, real house prices would have increased by the difference, or 5%. The same is true in reverse. If house prices increased 10% in a year but inflation was 15%, then real house prices would be 5% lower, as inflation has outpaced or increased more than the price that a home has. Also, real house prices are the best measure of the true performance of property as an asset class when looking across long periods of time. Because you can't compare house prices today to, say, the 1960s without making adjustments for inflation. This graph shows house prices actually going back to the 1970s, and you can see several crashes, mainly around recessions. What happened in 2008 then? Well, as we've seen, nominal house prices crashed by 35k or 18.7%, but in real terms, when using the nationwide index and adjusting for RPI, prices actually crashed by 25.8%. That's quite a considerable difference, and as we've already said, that downturn, i.e. the real downturn, actually lasted much longer. You see, in my videos we use real inflation-adjusted data to explore what's going on right now in the UK housing market and the key drivers of it, such as leading indicators. Leading indicators are proven to predict moves in the UK housing market before they happen, keeping us safely ahead of the curve. What were the housing market leading indicators telling us in the run-up to the 2008 crash? Well, lots. Firstly, mortgage approvals, which is an indicator of future lending, peaked in October of 2006, a full 11 months before house prices. Mortgage approvals go a large way to predicting every move in the housing market, even going back to the early 90s. As mortgage approval numbers fell, so did house prices. Mortgage approvals didn't bottom out until November of 2008, and we saw change in real house price growth bottoming out 3 months later in February 2009. We then see a run-up in the number of mortgage approvals to another peak in April of 2010, with a significant decline after and real prices following, but then falling back into the negative. The 2008 GFC put an end to an unbelievable run in house prices starting back in 1996 and put to bed the theory that you could simply leverage your way to wealth. Analysing home equity withdrawal data from the Bank of England for the same period, we can see growth from 1996 in the withdrawal of equity from our homes. That could be used to fund anything from lifestyle purchases, even further house purchases. So as house prices rose, we had more equity we could withdraw and the richer we felt. And in real terms, we were. So therefore, the more we spent. This is called the wealth effect. The only problem is this only really works during economic booms and housing market bull runs. Next, we have to look at the spread between UK gilts and mortgage rates, as the spread tells us more than simply just the mortgage rate in isolation, because the spread represents risk. When the mortgage spread is low, there is less risk, and we can see how an increase in the spread actually preceded the 2007 peak in house prices and then the 2008 crash. And it's the possible answer for why we saw a short-lived recovery in real house prices after the crash, only for them to fall again in a double dip, as the spread was actually increasing higher. However, it wasn't until we saw a peak in the spread in July of 2012 and a subsequent decline that we then saw positive real house price growth again in 2013. Lastly, we're going to look at real M4 retail growth, or real money supply growth. It's important, as excess liquidity will drive any asset prices, including house prices. Large increases in M4 growth lead to large increases in house price growth, like we see here. Whereas sharp declines mean contraction of UK house price growth. But we can't be beholden to just one indicator. So by using a basket of UK housing market leading indicators with good breadth, we could actually predict the 2008 crash, and using those same indicators also predict future moves in the housing market.